If you are a married believer trying to navigate this intimacy thing without shame, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because you are in the right place.
69% of problems that a couple will have are relational problems, meaning that these are perpetual problems that probably won't go away. We're so quick to just walk away and so quick to just move away. And it's the intimacy that keeps you together. When me and my spouse come together, the joint behavior is allowing us to create oneness. There are a lot of things that are taught, and there are people who are just not kind. There are people who just won't get it. There are people who are selfish. Sometimes when we experience things that does not feel like God, who do we blame for it? God's idea around marriage is that the purpose of it was supposed to be forever. What is God desiring from us? He wants us to be a bride, because one day the bridegroom is coming to collect her.
Space where we tell our truth. Testimony, healing, breaking shame loose. Learning our bodies and walking by faith. Intimacy, God's way, right here is the place. Except for saints. Mondays at 6. We believe in the power of the story. Not just pain, but redemption and glory. Faith in the rhythm, hearts in the mix. Trust in educators. Mondays at 6. We're overcoming by the word of these testimonies. People getting free when we speak what's holy. Healing in our hearts, shame starts to split. Every story told, another chain gets stripped. Learning our bodies, learning His way. Intimacy and faith, walking day by day. This is where we heal, where the truth sticks. Except for saints, Mondays at 6.
What's the lesson we will learn today? What's the lesson we will learn today? What's the lesson we will learn today? It's Sex Ed for Saints. It's time to party. What's up, beautiful people? Listen, we are continuing the series on what is happening during sex, what is happening in intimacy when we are with our spouses or not with our spouses, what's happening during that process, and why does God want us to have sex in the first place. Y'all, we have touched on several different things in the series so far, and we talked about the oneness, the mysteries of God, but we're going to go a little bit deeper in that, and we're going to talk about sex as the reflection of God, of who God is, and that it's something to celebrate a covenant. And you know how I like to do, I like to start with scripture. And so I'm going to read Genesis 1 and 26, where it says, "Then God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and in our likeness." Okay. Let us make man in our image and in our likeness. One of the most important things I believe about God is the very first thing that He told us is that, He said, let us make, right? Right in here, He's letting us know that He's the creator of something. He created us. He's making something, and He's not doing it alone. And when I think about, the curiosity in me says, who's us, right? Who's us? And, when I think about that, He's giving us a glimpse of, God's nature as the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the three in one. And it's not the only, thing that matters, but it's one of those things that matters, because it's there's so much meaning behind the fact that He's not doing it alone. He's building something. He's building us because there's a purpose behind that. God has actually given us the ability to do some things. He's actually allowing us the ability to do something that He does within the creation, and showing us that in Him putting us together, combining us, creating oneness in us. He's not only establishing a covenant with us, but He's also allowing us to be that reflection of Him on the earth, giving us the ability to do things that He does, but in human form. That is so powerful. So when I think about that, I think about that at its core, like that as the foundation, that God has given me an opportunity to be like Him on this earth, and He's doing it through creation. And so when He joins us with our spouses, when, the Bible talks about the two shall become one, He's joining us together for that process so that we can be one and celebrate something that He has created a space for. And so I think about how powerful that is. The fact that He's making us and allowing us to be in His image. I think about the fact that he has made us in his image. And I could end right there. Episode is over, right? Like, we are made in the image of God. Like, it's a done deal. We could turn off the show now. You are God's creation. You are made in his image. Because even in that says so much power, because he's being intentional within that creation. And so, when I think about how he allows us to reflect that within a unity, within the space that he's created, I just think about how good God is even in that. He didn't just give you the ability to become one as a reflection. He gave you your union, the ability to do something that he does. Like, when me and my spouse come together, the joint behavior is allowing us to create oneness. It's allowing oneness to exist. Powerful. And then we're able to reflect that. Your relationship with God will show up in the relationship that you are building together. So if you are in tune with God, then it's going to trickle over. And I think a lot of times we miss God's heart in so many different things because we miss opportunities to look at him in that way. In when I say that way, I mean like in his intentionality, in the way that he created us. And so we miss moments with our spouses because a lot of times we don't give way to what God's desire truly is. And I think sometimes, just as human, we can be selfish in that. But when we think about God and that space that he created, he wanted us to exhibit fruit. And so in Galatians 5:22 and 23, it tells us that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And when we think about all these various fruits, these become the foundational ground that God is building upon, because there are times within our relationships where we are having to be kind towards each other, having to be gentle towards one another, where we need to be faithful towards one another, right? Because this is what births all of that the intimacy, the level of security that we need. How we interact with each other allows us the opportunity to build that I trust you, I value you, I find security in you because of how we treat each other. And so when God is being very intentional within the covenant and the reflection, because he wants us to be able to reflect those very things, because God will never not be loving towards you. He'll never not be kind. He will always be gentle, right? He will always exhibit these fruits. And when we are in relationship towards one another and we are treating each other this way, then we are experiencing not only that, but we're feeling and experiencing a piece of God's love. Like, it gives us something that we can measure. And so when we're in situations where one is not doing the other right, we feel that, because the purpose of that space is he's laid that foundation for us to treat each other the way that he desires for us to be treated. But sometimes we don't do that because we're human, and there are a lot of things that we have to be learned, that has to be learned. There are a lot of things that are taught, and there are people who are just not kind. There are people who just won't get it. There are people who are selfish, right? And sometimes when we experience things that does not feel like God, who do we blame for it? You be like, God, well, why did he, or why did she, And so when we think about God as a reflection, when we are being intimate, we are still to exhibit the reflection, because there's purpose behind it, and towards how we are interacting. The root of that is how are we treating one another, and how are we going to express that? so that it can ultimately reflect who God is and how he is with us, because we don't want to feel the pull or the strain when somebody's not treating us right. We don't have to want to work extra hard, because if there are two people who are together and they understand this concept, then you won't work so hard. I hear people be like, marriage be hard. Yes, it is hard when you are out of alignment sometimes, because sometimes it's difficult to get two people to agree. And so when they say marriage be hard, it's hard for that reason, because you're working towards coming into alignment where sometimes the alignment is just not there. It's non-existent. And so it feels harder than it should be. And there are ways to work around that, but that's where grace comes in, and that's where all the other things comes in. And, you have to go through a process even with that. And so when we think about God's and his reflection and all of that, it comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. I know a lot of times when I bring this up, a lot of people be coming for me. They be coming for me, y'all. They be coming for me because when I think about the reflection and the covenant and all the things, it was never meant to be something that was temporary. When we think about covenant, we always think permanent, because it's a promise that God makes. Yes. And so when we think about that, the best story that I could find to express that in biblical context, and it's not even a story, the best interpretation of that I could find would be Hosea and Gomer, when God told prophet Hosea to marry Gomer, or Gomer. I'm not sure how to say her name, but she was very unfaithful. She was out there in the streets and she was doing whatever it was that she wanted to do, making Hosea look crazy. And God continuously told him over and over, regardless of how bad she was treating him in terms of, leaving him, going out with other men, having other children, all kinds of stuff. She was just not making him look good at all. And I'm sure people were calling him crazy and all the things. And God kept telling him, go back and get her, go back and get her. Stay with her. Don't leave her. Stay with her. And it hurt him to his core, Hosea, to have to stay with somebody who he absolutely loved, but he continuously pursued her over and over and over again. And when you learn the story, it's really about God showing us the depth of his love, that no matter how far gone we are, we're not unredeemable. Like he's continuously married to the backslider. And I'm not saying this story to say that if you are in a marriage and your spouse is continuously cheating on you, that you are to continuously take him back over and over again. But I'm just trying to get you to understand that God's idea around marriage is that the purpose of it was supposed to be forever. And obviously there are things that happens within marriages where it's just not possible. I'm not talking to you, right? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the ones where God is speaking to you and saying, like he did Hosea, I need you to stay within this thing because I need you to understand that I'm married to your situation. I'm in covenant with you. I need you to hold it together. Right. And then you do what you need to do to build your relationship with God. There are people who are absolutely no go, like the next door, open it up and run out. I have, coached some people through situations where I used the story of Hosea. I remember a client in particular, like we walked through this thing. We walked through the book of Hosea when, their spouse was not doing so great. And, when I consulted God about their situation, God said, I want you to walk through her with this. And he guided me to Hosea to do that. There have been other people where I've coached and it was like, no, run. Run for the hills. Run for the hills like yesterday, right? But it's really, what is God saying? What is God saying to you about your marriage? About what it is that he's trying to show you, because you are a reflection of that. And if he is using your marriage as a reflection of him, then how do you want that to be lived out? I speak to people constantly, even right now. There is a person that I'm speaking with in regards to, staying within the marriage. And it's because sometimes we go through seasons of life where things are shifting, things are changing. We're never not going to ever be the same. We're always going to be evolving through something. There are seasons within our relationships that we're going to go through, seasons of, where we're okay, and seasons when we're not okay, seasons where we have children, and seasons where you might be having like a medical thing going on. You might come into something that is just so traumatic that I'm just like, oh, and you might be going through a rediscovery phase. A lot of times when you are an empty nester and you spent your whole life, well, not your whole life, but you spent your whole time being married, focused on the kids, and now they're old and grown up and out of the house, then you go through a rediscovery period, and then you learn like, hey, me and my spouse, we have nothing in common anymore. I want to venture out, and I want to explore, and I want to do more things. That happens sometimes. And the right thing to do is not leave your husband or your spouse because you are changing. Again, it's really, when we're thinking about the reflection of God, how are we working together towards what it is that we're experiencing right now, so that even though we might not be on the same page, what can we do to still reflect God? Because a lot of times we make our situations so much more about us than it is about God, right? And when we think about covenant, it's not a contract. A contract does not require God, but a covenant marriage means that whatever decisions flow out of your relationship, it flows into Him, right? Sorry, y'all. Whatever flows from you flows within that relationship. And if you are lacking God, I say this almost every episode, that if your relationship is lacking with God, then you're going to be misguided on the direction you need to go. Because there are always going to be hard seasons within any marriage. There are going to be seasons of easy, and there's going to be sometimes where it's difficult. But staying when it's hard, forgiving what you didn't have to, and choosing the covenant over what's easy, you are really showing the true picture of God and who He is and what He does for you every single day. And I think that's powerful. That's powerful. It just shows you again the intentionality of God. Intimacy is for reflection. He builds on all these things, y'all. This whole series is about what is God building within us, even in our intimate moments. Like, why are we having sex? We're having sex because God wants to use those as opportunities to be able to reflect Him. He wants us to be one with Him. He wants us to grow intimacy with Him. He wants us to desire Him and long after Him and all the things. And it's not in a toxic way. It's in a loving kindness way, because on the other end of that, you get to be able to experience God differently. You get to experience His oneness. And when your life is like that, you live better. You have a happier life. Completely. Right? And that's what I absolutely love about God. There was this TV show that I watch on TV. And well, I haven't watched TV in a while, y'all, but I'm not even sure if it comes on anymore. But the premise of the show is there are two people who they meet at the altar, and then they say, I do, the very first time that they meet. And once they meet, the whole concept is they're going to be married for 3 months. And within that 3-month time frame, they get to decide whether or not they're going to stay married to that person, or if they're going to walk away. And when I even think about the concept, it is extremely toxic, because you are training yourself to essentially, if I don't like this, then I'm out. And so then it becomes every little thing I'm nitpicking, because now I'm deciding on whether or not I want to stay with this person or not. And when we think about the covenant is not like that at all. It's for longevity. It's for forever. That's the purpose of it. So when we think about that, they go through these periods and all the things, and the covenant that we have, it's a promise, right? The covenant means that I'm marrying you, but it's not on the condition of, it's on the condition of, I'm going to work through this whether or not we like each other or not, because the covenant stands and I'm making this promise to you to stay in it forever. And so that's covenantal love, right? That's what God desires for us. And when we engage in sex within the marriage, it strengthens that covenant. It strengthens it. It's not just something that seals it. It's something that reminds us of the closest thing in the natural world to a living picture of what a covenant actually means. So the moment that you say I do when you enter the covenant, it becomes the reality, right? You consummate your marriage, and God seals it. The coming together seals it. It's that staying anyway, working through anything. Even if I don't like it, I love you, so we're in this forever. I don't know anybody else who can make that commitment, right? Besides God. I don't know anybody else. Because marriage, it could be hard. But when we think about the covenant, we think about, I got to stay. Dr. John Gottman, who has done some studies, he found that 69% of problems that a couple will have are relational problems, meaning that these are perpetual problems that probably won't go away. And I think that, a lot of times we're so quick to just walk away and so quick to just move away. And it's the intimacy that keeps you together. But, when you are having issues and struggles within the marriage, these perpetual problems, it's almost like an attempt to keep you away. Right. These are the things that you are going to forever be working towards. Like, for example, me and my husband, we're both introvert. He's more introverted than I am. But I can be a little bit extroverted if I'm in the right space. But it's that one is quiet, or this one likes to go outside. I've coached couples, some who have not made it, because one of them, their form of intimacy was social intimacy, which means that one person loved to be outside. They were recharged from being in environments where they were outside, and the other spouse was like, I don't want to go anywhere ever. And so they could not come together to, meet in the middle of the minds, because one was always out and one always wanted to stay in. And the person who was always out, she just loved to be outside. And the person who was always in, he just hated to be out, And they could not find a medium ground for that, because they wouldn't spend time. One didn't want to spend time in, and the other one didn't want to spend time out. And sometimes things like that happens. But when there are perpetual problems like that, it's how can we work together so that we can maintain some type of middle ground here, right? It's that compromise and that sacrifice on what it is that we're supposed to do within the relationships, because that's what the that's what the covenant requires. The contract says, well, since you don't want to be outside all the time, we're not going to make it, Or since you want to be inside all the time, well, you just stay inside over there and I'm going to just be out, and then it's going to be a forever conflict unless they resolve something. And so sometimes when you are in situations, it's two people, y'all think about it. It's two people coming together as one. So you're not going to always agree on everything. It's how are we working together towards even the things that we don't agree on. And I think that's what's really important. That is what really matters. So when we're thinking about, being the reflection and covenant and all the things, what I want you to walk away with from this episode is that Your relationship, your marriage was never meant to just be that. There's always more. We're always thinking about the end goal, and this has been the repetitive thing that I'm saying in every episode without even intention. But when we think about our relationships and why God wants us to be together in the first place, we always have to think about what is God desiring from us. He wants us to be a bride, because one day the bridegroom is coming to collect her. And so when we think about that, how are we reflecting that within our relationships, so that when we are working through situations, even the kinds that we don't like, what is the end goal, right? What does it mean to be a reflection of God? Every time you stay when it's hard, every time you forgive when it's something you didn't even have to forgive for, and you choose the covenant, you are essentially saying, God, I'm here. I'm here. You're showing the world that picture of who God exactly is every single day. And so I want to thank you all for tuning in. I'm getting better at these, y'all, because listen, when I tell you, I'm going to tell y'all, my episodes are supposed to be 27 minutes, and I haven't made it under 27 in not one episode yet, but today I did. So go Tammy. Today is 27. Today is actually 24 minutes. And so I'm not even going to keep you here till 27, because I want to get in the hang of trying to get whatever I can get out within the time frame of what it needs to be said. But y'all, go reflect the covenant. Be a reflection. Understand that the reflection is a part of the covenant. The reflection is a part of sex. What's happening? You're reflecting God. When you are being intimate with your spouse, you are a reflection of Him. How do you want to express that in the world that we live in, living out within marriage? And so that's what I'm going to leave with you today. What is the lesson that you learned today? Write it in the comments, because whatever lesson that you learned, somebody might learn a lesson from you. And we want to share all of the lessons today. So thank you for tuning in to the show. If you have enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, I'm going to say bye.
Hey y'all, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Now friends, if this conversation blessed you, do me a favor. Take a moment to like, leave a review, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, because you already know we need more faith-filled, real conversations like this in the world. And listen, I know you heard a gem today, something that made you pause, something that made you think, something that made you say, woo, this was for me. But friend, it might not be just for you. So go ahead and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Send it to a friend, a spouse, a sister in Christ, somebody who's been feeling stuck or silent in this area. Let's spread healing, freedom, and truth one conversation at a time. And until next time, we're going to get candid, but keep it God. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
This the space where hearts get free, learning our bodies with holy therapy. God will desire with love in the mix. Sex after saints, Mondays are saints. This the space where hearts get free, learning our bodies with holy therapy. God will desire with love in the mix. Sex after saints, Mondays are 6. Tune in Mondays at 6. Come and sit in this love. Oh, I come and sing this love. Oh, tune in Mondays at 6. Come and sing this love. Oh, let's sing this love. This is the space where hearts get free, learning our bodies with holy therapy. God will desire with love in the mix. Sex at for saints, Mondays at 6. This is the space where hearts get free, learning our bodies with holy therapy. God will desire with love.
What's your name? What's your question?